Hi there, and welcome to Your Brain on Trauma. When we have trauma, and it doesn't matter what kind of trauma we have, there are physical and mental effects that take place. So I'm going to go over what types of things happen to the brain and to what parts of the brain, and the possible side effects of trauma. And can they be healed? Here's the truth and the answer. Our brain is amazing and neuroplastic, so it is capable of great change, which is wonderful and something I am very grateful for. So what happens when we have trauma? And it could be sexual molestation, it could be narcissistic abuse, it could be any kind of domestic abuse or violence, being in the military, being a police person, having a death of a loved one, losing your home, homelessness. All of these things, health issues, can cause trauma. So the number one thing that happens is the amygdala is affected, and that is where the emotions and our instinct are. And so we may have a difficult time processing emotions. We may obsess about feelings that we have and have a difficult time letting go. We may be stuck in resentment or hate or a looping cycle of shame. So that's the amygdala. But the hippocampus, which it's in the brain, it looks like a little seahorse. It's a very small part of the brain, but it is actually the place that stores our memory. It is where memories are stored. The hippocampus is something that shrinks when we have trauma. It actually shrinks. The same type of shrinkage happens when there's dementia or Alzheimer's. Now the prefrontal cortex, that's easy for you to say, prefrontal cortex is where suppression takes place. We may be unable to control fear. We may be stuck in this purely reactive state. We may find that all the things that happen in the world become threats to us and feel like we're repeating our childhood over again, or the trauma that we were experiencing. You may have strong impulsivity, be highly reactive. I know I was for a number of years. You can ask my children, but it is something that I am now able to clear for you, being triggered, having people push your buttons where, they say something as simple as, this used to happen for me, my mother saying to me, "Jennifer, you're late," and the tone. It could be a tone, it could be a word, it could be a phrase that just sets us off, and we become so reactive and emotional, and we may become hysterical. That used to happen to me frequently. So I don't want you to think there's any shame in any of this. There is none, because I have experienced all these things, and this is what I help you do. So the brain is amazing. It is neuroplastic. It is capable of recovery. Even if you have forgotten chunks of time, whether it's years, months, or days, these are all things that can be healed and cured. So what are the side effects of trauma? So we're going to go through some of those that may help you go, oh my gosh, I never thought that was from trauma. So you may have PTSD. You may hear a loud noise and really get startled. You may have cognitive or affective impairment. In other words, in childhood, like me, I basically had a learning disorder. I had difficulty learning, especially math, and I couldn't take criticism. It was very difficult if a teacher criticized me in any way. So you may have dyslexia. I have a mild form of dyslexia, but I've written 5 books. You may have ADD, you may have ADHD. So, sometimes if you've ever noticed being in a conversation with someone that has ADD, you say something, and next thing you know, I have a friend that hears me all the time where I'll be in one mode speaking about something, and then I jump to another subject, and I have to basically go ding, 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 a new subject, because I change subjects frequently. That is ADD. This is caused by trauma. Okay, so this is something I continue to work on. You may have scattered thinking. You may be disorganized. You may have a difficulty focusing attention. You may have difficulty with mental clarity. You may feel foggy in the brain. You may be a hoarder, emotional or material. You may have a really hard time letting go of things, even if you don't use, don't like, and don't wear them. And so this is something, if you hoard material things, you likely also hoard emotions. So what does that mean? You have a hard time letting go of emotions, and you may find yourself stewing and brewing on things where other people are able to move on to the next and let things go. So don't be judgmental, and there's no need for shame. This is all part of the life experience in getting over trauma. You may complain a lot. You may feel terribly needy. You may want sympathy and tell your story to people looking for sympathy because you didn't get it as a child. And you may find yourself needing validation from outside, highly distractible. You may have a big glorious spending habit and buy things to make yourself feel better. I definitely have had that issue over the years. And so I remember when I was back in my late 30s, going to a store and thinking nothing of dropping $3,000, and I didn't have it. My credit cards were maxed out, but I would buy and buy and buy, thinking, oh, well, this is the way I love myself. I deserve it. I didn't really feel deserving, and I sure didn't feel good enough. So we tend to attempt to fill this hole that we feel. We have this emptiness that we feel we need to fill, and so some of us fill it with food, some of us fill it with shopping, some with sex, alcohol. There's a lot of different ways that people try to fill that hole. Now, the bottom line is there is a cure. There is a cure for trauma. There is a cure for PTSD, and you don't have to remain hypervigilant with your memory suppressed and difficulty with reactivity and impulse control. All of these things can be healed. The mind is incredibly neuroplastic. In other words, bendable, moldable. It can change shape. And so there's a few things that you can do. Self-forgiveness is one, taking responsibility for everything that happens in your life instead of blaming other people and being the victim. And don't, again, have no judgment. Allow yourself to just process these things by knowing that, maybe your innocence was robbed from you as a child. And so you are doing the best you can on a daily basis, and allow yourself, a little time. And absolutely getting coaching help is what I'm here to do. In the process of coaching, I am also teaching you how to use your thoughts to manifest good things in your life instead of creating without awareness, having well health or good health, being able to feel good about yourself, have healthy relationships, because typically with trauma, relationships are very challenging because of our reactivity, because of our emotionality, because of the fight, fright, or freeze that we have been stuck in. All of these things can be healed. So I invite you, check out my website, jenniferelizabethmasters.com. Go to the booking tab in my business card. It's on the right on my website, and book your free discovery session where I will give you a transformation blueprint, step by step, what needs to happen, and invite you to check out what that would be like to work with me. I love you. Thanks for being here. Thanks so much for listening and watching, and have a beautiful rest of your day.